What's going on, everyone? Climate Data Report here with today's weather forecast. Starting off with the infrared satellite picture, you will see we do have an active situation starting to appear across the country again. First off, we do have a major storm system that's making landfall in California today. We also have another area of energy up in the northern Rockies, and we do have a warm front that's about to pass Kentucky and the Ohio Valley this afternoon. Taking a look at the radar picture, you can see that storm system that's entering the picture off the California coast that is providing very heavy rainfall, winds, and even mountain snow. You can also see the warm front that's crossing the Tennessee Valley, Kentucky, and eventually Ohio valleys later this afternoon. Just some light rain expected with this today. The main weather story for today is the storm system that's entering the California coast. Taking a look at the National Hazards Map, you can see there are high wind warnings, wind advisories, flood watches, winter storm warnings, a whole array of things going on in California and the western portions or southwest portions of the United States. This is a fairly major storm system. Taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center, no threat of severe weather for today. However, we do introduce a marginal risk of severe weather from Chicago back southwest into portions of Missouri, even northeastern Kansas. And the threat for tomorrow is going to mainly be just an isolated threat of hail. There is a larger threat of severe weather in the day 3 time frame in Texas for Thursday, where there is going to be a slight risk of severe weather. And right now it does look like all modes of severe weather are possible. This threat will then continue on day 4, which is Friday, from Louisiana, eastern Texas, on up through Mississippi, much of Mississippi, portions of Arkansas, Tennessee, and maybe even in Kentucky, if the warm front sets up far enough north. And yet again, all modes of severe weather are possible. Hail, wind, and even a few isolated tornadoes. The bigger threat that we will have to watch over the next few days is the flood threat. And first off, let's talk about the flood threat. There is a moderate risk of excessive rainfall for portions of southern California along the coast today. Surrounding that, there is a slight risk along the coast that goes all the way up into central California. Taking a look here at the records, we do have one record to report from yesterday. A record low temperature was set at North Little Rock. The record low of 29 was set in North Little Rock yesterday. This breaks the old record of 30 degrees set back in 1996. So a record low temperature there. Taking a look at the WPC days 1 through 7 QPF outlook. And basically what this means is we're just looking at total precipitation amounts. And there's some really impressive amounts on this map. First off, taking a look at the west coast, you can see that there are generally on the area of 2 to 4 inch amounts across many areas with isolated amounts of 5+ inches of rain in the higher elevations, and even up by San Francisco Bay Area, you run into a few isolated 5-inch amounts. Then you see a large swath of heavy rainfall, generally from the Gulf Coast states, right on through the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley, with the jackpot being in southern Indiana. And in that jackpot, they are going with a 5+ inch area of rainfall. Even in western Pennsylvania, over the next 7 days, you could see upwards of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. So this is pretty serious. And our big time frame for the heaviest rainfall is going to be Thursday and Friday, and that's where we really have to watch. Let's first take a look at the HRRR model for today. As you can see, here's our system on the west coast. Here's our warm front that's over Oklahoma and Arkansas right now. That's going to lift northeast, and it's really this system on the west coast that we have to watch, because that becomes our energy that turns into the boundary and the whole mess that we're going to be dealing with here in the central part of the country. So the system on California comes on shore this afternoon. You do get some snow from that weak system up in the northern plains. You could be looking at 1 to 3, maybe isolated 4-inch amounts from that system. Our warm front eventually lifts northeast, but you remain in a southwest flow from Louisiana on up into the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. So showers will remain, and this system will be taking its good old time to move through. As you see, we're now up to the middle of the day tomorrow, and this system still has not cleared, so showers can be expected to continue there. It's beyond this point where things really start to get interesting. The energy from the system that came on shore in California then comes over Nebraska. This is where the energy starts to become strung out, and it does form multiple waves of energy that will generally ride along a boundary. As you can see, the first wave of energy goes across the Great Lakes, and there are actually some thunderstorms with this, maybe some elevated convection, and there could be a small hail threat. And this is something we're going to have to watch, because look at this. You have training here that's starting to set up. So this boundary, it is going to try and push southeastward, and you have the first round of training that sets up along this. Moving on to the longer range of the forecast, here's the NAM model, which does go beyond 48 hours. And as you can see, here's your boundary that sets up just across Chicago back southwest. But watch what happens on Thursday morning as this pushes southeast. It sort of gets hung up right over Ohio, Indiana, southern Illinois, and eventually there will be some instability that forms along this, and moisture starts to break out. And look what happens here. You get a very heavy area of rainfall from the next round of energy, and this really gets the ball rolling for training. And a flash flood threat is definitely there. This could be a really big flash flood threat, because there goes one wave of energy on Thursday. Then as we head into Friday, yet another wave of energy comes with heavy rainfall. And this is the one that we really have to watch. Friday evening is the biggest time frame, and I'll show you that on the GFS. So here's Thursday night. Look at this. This is really heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, training convection, and here comes the caboose. An area of low pressure forms over Arkansas, and that really gets things going, and you see several hours of very heavy rainfall, maybe even some severe thunderstorms. This threat does continue into Friday night and into portions of Saturday morning, but by Saturday morning it should start to push east. And check out what the GFS does here. It actually develops a strong area of low pressure, 981 millibar low over the Great Lakes, and it does turn over to snow in portions of Michigan. So there could be a wintry side to this system as well. Also, look what happens up here in Maine. You can see it tries to transfer to a coastal system off of Massachusetts. And we've been seeing this for a couple days now on the models. So it's possible we see a wintry aspect up in northern New England. Behind this, there's another piece of energy that enters the picture and crosses Nebraska, but that really weakens and just dissolves into nothing. And then as we head into next week, there's another system that sets up with a southwest flow, and yes, another mess that we could potentially see in the east, but there is a lot of model discrepancy in that. And here on the GFS, you can see it's showing a wintry system in New England. Not too sure I buy into that yet, but one thing I do buy into is it's going to get cold again in the Northeast. I mean, well below average temperatures. Going into the start of April, you're going to see extremely cold temperatures again. You're going to have Great Lake effect snow showers again. It's just not going to feel like spring. And check out as I advance the GFS. You have really cold air that persists for multiple days. Finally behind us, and now we're at 300 hours out, which is an unreliable range, but finally behind that, around April 3rd, you start to see some warmer weather. And we'll have to see if that even happens, because look here, it's very short-lived. It's like everything has been flipped into reverse from what we saw all winter, where we were seeing the short spells of cold and long-lasting warmth. So anywho, the big thing that we want to pay attention to is this flooding threat this week. And I'm going to reverse this a little bit. As you can see here, the GFS model is showing an isolated area of 6+ inches of rain with a widespread swath of 3 to 5 inches of rain. Expect flash flood watches to go up from Arkansas through the Ohio Valley, probably as early as tonight. And this is going to be a serious threat. There will also be that severe weather threat on the south side. We'll have to watch what becomes of that. As of right now, I'm in agreement with the slight risk. I don't see the need just yet to up it to an enhanced risk, but Maybe tomorrow, as mesoscale models come more into range, we'll get a better idea of what's going to happen there. Again, all modes of severe weather are possible. There could be a few isolated tornadoes. There's definitely a wind threat and a hail threat, but my biggest concern right now from this stalled boundary, which will end as an area of low pressure, is this flood threat that is over the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley. It's going to be a serious deal. It's going to be the big weather maker of this week. Let's take a look at the long range from the Climate Prediction Center. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Below average temperatures are staying in the west. Above average temperatures in the southeast, as I have been in agreement with for several days now. Near normal in the northeast, and then as we get to the 8 to 14 day outlook, it's below normal in the northeast. They're not going significantly below normal, but I think in the coming days we may see a darker shade of blue show up on this map. The west coast, well below normal. The south will stay above normal, at least south of the I-40 corridor. 6 to 10 day precipitation, I would have gone a little bit darker shade of green for the above average precipitation, especially across Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Ohio Valley, but is what it is. This is for 6 to 10 days out. Above average out in California, and I do also want to bring this to attention. Well above average precipitation in portions of Alaska. Texas, below average, that's not good because we know you need the rainfall bad. 8 to 14 day outlook, no improvement in Texas and Four Corners region. Still below average rainfall. And I'm really starting to get concerned about the drought situation there because we're coming into the warm season soon. We know precipitation and moisture in the ground evaporates faster in the warmer months. So the drought situation there is really going to worsen with no signs of improvement on the models. Above average precipitation continues in California, though it's not going to be as active as it is now. There will be some lulls in the activity, which is good news, and slightly above average across much of the east. Alrighty, so the big takeaway from today's video, if you live in the Tennessee or Ohio Valley, start preparing for a heavy rainfall event Thursday and Friday. Flash flooding is definitely possible, and it's going to be a big issue. South of there, pay close attention to the forecast. There is a severe weather threat. There's a slight possibility that severe weather threat may increase. Just stay tuned with me. I will have updates here and on Twitter. Until next time, stay safe, everyone. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel. I'll have another update on this again tomorrow. See you all next time.